Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to ESL One Cologne. We're here at the NVIDIA Expert Desk to break down more of the games coming to you. Of course, we just got through the first two games of Group A. Group B also finishing up with their first two matches. That winner's match already starting underway, but we're getting ready for our winner's match here in Group A. We have a new man joining us on the desk. Anders, welcome after casting those matches. Let's pick your brain a little bit before we move on. How'd you view those as you were casting them?
I was super excited. I thought both TSM and NiP, who ended up winning, were the favorites. But you sometimes in group stages like this, you have the favorites just crushing the underdogs. And I was really excited that it was so close. I feel like CLG had a legitimate shot at beating NiP if they didn't screw up those 2 rounds, that they did the 3v5 in the 3rd round and after the pistol. I think Renegades had a bit further to go to beat CLG. I think they were, to beat TSM. There was some glaring issues, but it was still a lot closer than I thought it would be.
So more of a pleasant surprise from, I guess you could say, the 2 underdogs in Group A. Of course, their fate's kind of in limbo now, depending on who wins this winner's match. It's going to be a lot on the line here for all 4 teams in Group A, given the redraw system we have coming into this major. So let's talk NiP, TSM. How much can we take away from the first 2 games that we've seen, Henry?
It's difficult. The NiP game, obviously, like we said, it's the first game of the day. Very close series, but ultimately, I think NiP do look strong. It was Dust 2, like we said. That was a map that was very good for CLG in terms of it was a big fragging map, and there were mistakes made by NiP, but they did look like they were turning up to the event. They weren't playing badly. Again, TSM, a rocky start for them. They went down 5-0, but they got 13 rounds in a row. They really bounced back. They knew what they were doing, and they worked out. That's why you determine a good team from a great team. If you can come back from a deficit like that and get so strongly back into the driving seat, that's when you know they're contenders for this tournament, and they're looking really strong.
Yeah, I mean, considering it was only best of ones, Fifth, and obviously we haven't seen a selection of all the maps or anything like that from either team. How much do you take away from the first 2 matches so far?
I mean, for NiP's part, I think it's great that Forrest is back in action. He's playing great. One of the main characters, I was going to say, for NiP that was missing the first game is GetRight. He did not show up. He was barely doing anything. And having his other teammates playing that well in the first map, and let's say he shows up for this one, yeah, for sure they can win versus TSM.
Anders, what about you on the side of TSM? Do you see any weak links, perhaps, from that match that you would like to see them improve upon from one game to another?
I don't know. I guess they were a bit slow to start, which I'm not always sure TSM usually is. So I wouldn't say there were that many weak links. I think they did pretty well overall. I think Sibnix was in a couple of positions where he kind of ended up getting a bunch of double and triple kills. Whenever that happens, I feel like that pretty means some other people on that team are not doing their full job, because Sibnix is not really supposed to be the guy. He can do it, which is great, which is also why he's sort of a valuable resource, but he shouldn't have to. You know, there should be Device and Dupree and Cajun stepping it up like that. Just to point this out, I don't know if you guys have already talked about this earlier, but NiP is also notoriously a team that does much worse in group stages than they do later on in the bracket. So even if NiP don't defeat TSM here, I won't say that that's a huge sign that something's gone horribly wrong or anything like that. They're a team that peak usually later in tournaments.
Right, and again, I mean, this is just the winner's match. I mean, even if you lose from this one, you're still going to wait tomorrow to see who comes up to challenge you again in your group for Group A, and then you'll still have another shot going into the bracket stages. But whoever wins now, they're set. They get to play in the Lanxess Arena. They're done on day 1. I mean, that's a pretty nice advantage to have at the major. You get to watch all the other matches, of course, prepare going towards that. Now, between NiP and TSM, in the earlier matches, given that we had a bit of a favorite underdog setup, it was easier to talk about the maps and the players and their experience coming in. What about this matchup, though? Is there really much to speculate upon prior?
Well, I mean, it used to be when TSM went through their whole choking period, which, let's be honest, lasted quite a long time. The team that was like the TSM killers or the Dignitas killers was NiP. Every single tournament, they'd run into them in the semifinals, and NiP would knock them out. It wasn't even like it was a thing. It got to the point where whenever the semifinals was drawn, you could see TSM or Dignitas back then just laughing. They were just like, well, we picked NiP again, and now we're going to lose, which was funny. It seems like the tables have turned a little bit. I think TSM actually have a wider map pool than NiP do. So I think they're slight favorites. But in a best of 1, I won't call them like heavy favorites here.
Fifth, what about you?
I think it will come down to what, because NiP are notorious in vetoing incorrectly in terms of they think they have a game plan and they stick with it, but in reality it's just going to end up being bad. One thing that for NiP's part now that they should think about is, let's not veto what we're bad at, let's veto what they're good at. Let's get that out of the way. You know, they know that their train are somewhat respectable as well, NiPs. But you have like the heavy maps that favors TSM, like Mirage, for example.
Yeah.
Overpass NiP don't play; they have to veto that. So then you want to get rid of those. Perhaps go into playing another Dust 2, for example, or even an Inferno.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, of course, like we mentioned, it's going to be randomized after the first vetoes.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we did see a Mirage. That'd be great, because the last time these guys played, if I remember correctly, was at the DreamHack Valencia event, and it was such a close game. I think it finished 16-14, and the round that defined everything was when NiP went for quite a ballsy play, really. They pushed up middle of one player, and it was that match point at that stage, and they lost that round, and there was a big mistake, and they were very disappointed with that. So to see a rematch on that map would be great, and could be a really exciting series.
Yeah, sounds like there's going to be quite a bit to look forward to as we take a look at all the players getting settled and ready for their winners match. Just a quick update, as we mentioned on Stream B, our Group B winners match already underway. That's going to be between Envious and Luminosity. So Luminosity coming out pretty strong against Kinguin, and they take that win. They're in the winners match, sitting pretty comfortably in Group B. Go ahead and check that out if you're interested. Of course, also, if you haven't bought your tickets for the weekend at the Lanxess Arena, now, I mean, after these matches, you'll know at least 2 of the teams that will be playing on stage in the Great Stadium. So go ahead and get your tickets. Not too many left, almost all sold out. So hopefully we'll see you all there over the weekend. NiP also all settled in, ready to go. Now, earlier, Fifth, you mentioned, all right, Get Right not really showing up in the very first game. Henry, what's your take on it? Do you think that it could actually turn out to be kind of a bad anchor here for NiP, or would you say, oh, well, you know, again, first game, let's not read too much into it?
Well, Get Right, he's one of those players, obviously the lurker. He defined the role as a lurker. If he's playing that role correctly and actually getting into bomb sites and getting distractions for his teammates, or getting the rotation kills as well, he can win rounds single-handedly. Even though a couple of men down, him being that lurk role, depending on the map, he can be very impactful in that. Like Robin said, he didn't really turn up on the first map, but they won, so it wasn't too much of a big deal. So if the map does favour them and he's able to read the game properly and lock down some of the rotating players, for example, that's so valuable. So he's definitely one of the key assets. He's renowned as the best player on NiP right now. So if they can win games without him turning up, it obviously shows the other guys are stepping up when they need to. So obviously, going into this one, you hope he does bring his A game. But yeah, that's going to be an exciting prospect to see whether he can bounce back in the second game.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, at the same time, maybe he didn't need to in game 1, so...
Well, just to follow up on Get Right, and as a lurker, with the game we saw on him, he was Dust 2, and I think almost everybody, not even just like, obviously in the pro circle, but even outside of that, kind of knows how Get Right plays all positions on Dust 2, which is why it actually would be a lot of fun to see him on a map like Train or Cobblestone or Overpass, and I think TSM might have a bit of a tougher time guessing how Get Right plays some of those positions, because they haven't seen it as much as everyone else has. There's a whole period through 2013-14 where everyone got really hard-schooled in how Get Right plays all the usual maps. So I'd love to see that. I think he's going to be more effective, because obviously if you don't know what he's doing, it's going to be so much
sometimes it's a blessing and a curse for NiP sometimes. Get Right's lurking. Sometimes, especially on maps like Overpass, he could sometimes allow his team to execute onto the site, and he's waiting for rotations that don't come to him, and all of a sudden he's not an asset to the team. He's not even with them as they're executing on a bomb site. Yeah,
and there's actually there's another flip side we used to bring up a lot a couple of years ago, which is we used to make fun of it. If you find Get Right, you can be damn sure the rest of the team is not there.
Yeah, that's the whole thing.
Then the push is coming somewhere else.
I mean, but that's how it is. That's how NiP plays. You were talking about Cobblestone, but on all maps, you can basically pinpoint where Get Right will be. Cobblestone, the drop.
Yeah.
Cash, depending on where they go, it's probably going to be by the doors, by A. Dust 2 in the middle when they hit A, or always in the middle of Catwalk. Inferno, the boiler room, or the apartments even. I remember back when I was playing, which was a long time ago now. It was quite funny, actually, because we would always, on Inferno, for example, when we tend to execute on B, and let's say we all die, right? And then we're like, okay, where's Get Right now? And it's like, he's scrolling around in apartments.
So that's when it becomes not that viable, right?
Exactly.
Had he been with the team, they could have exchanged frags, and maybe not every single execution needs a lurker. It's like, obviously, when everyone's aware of it and they find him, it doesn't really work. It's a distraction, and they're going to be looking out for him almost on every single execution. So for me, like, just going, for now, sticking with the team and just going part of that fragging unit may be more valuable for the team as a whole.
At least being able to switch between the two, I think, is definitely a good idea. Just keeping people guessing. I am actually super excited about this matchup. I think it does have a lot of history, especially because of how much NiP have put a stick in the wheel of TSM in previous lineups. It's going to be... I think great for the Danes if they can get a bit of revenge here. I think that they're definitely looking for that. You mentioned Mirage as a map as well. That would, I mean, it's actually a map that before Alu joined, NiP didn't play all that much. They're trying to avoid it. But 3D Max that Alu came from, and also that Natu, the coach, came from, played it a lot and played it very well indeed. So now I actually think NiP have a lot of strengths going into that map because of what the two Finnish players sort of bring to the team. But the player that was on the camera just there, Carrigan, has a devastating AWP in the middle of Mirage. So
I love Carrigan on Mirage.
It's insane.
Absolutely love him. He does a good job even holding down B when if Simnix goes down, or even if he rotates back. It's like by far one of the better AWP players on that map on CT side.
Yeah, well, it would be interesting to see if all the pins line up here for Mirage, or if we'll even see that just vetoed out right away. It looks like both teams are about ready to go for the veto. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for holding by. Winners match for Group A just about to come your way. Now, as we get ready, we can speculate all day if we want before the match goes on to see who's going to have the edge, and we can just continue going on that road. But also, let's just talk overall, both teams coming in, right? I mean, NiP has been pretty hungry for some time now, and they're really looking to strike back. At the same time, TSM, they said it in their interview, well, we can't be the best if we haven't won a major yet. So this one is the one where we want to make it count. What do you say on that, Anders?
I think definitely. I mean, that should be the goal of the majors, to try and define who's the best at any one given time. If you win multiple, then you've got a really good claim. I think TSM are right on the money. You've got to win that major to really be able to put in that claim there. I think that the advantage for NiP is, as far as I know, speaking to Natu, this is the first time they've actually had a real chance to use him as a coach for more than just, patchwork, where you lose a match and you say what went wrong and you try and fix some things and you go into the next tournament straight away. They've actually had a little bit of time to work on things and look through maps. So I think Natu's effect on this team now might actually be felt for the first time, and I'm excited about that. Yeah. Natu is the most experienced player we have in the scene.
Well, we mentioned 3D Max. He came from a very tactical team. They were like day and night compared to NiP in the way they approach a game. So when Natu did join them, we expected that to translate into their team. So far in the previous tournaments, we haven't seen that happen. So like you said, they've had some more time to work on it now. They know they needed to evolve their game as a whole. They needed to have those set pieces and more strategic reactions to when the pick play is going wrong. So that'll be interesting to see his impact and whether they've allowed him to implement that to the game.
And I want to take that and run with it and phrase it into a question for you, Flaren. Why is it hard for NiP to make these adjustments, even with a coach, even with a new player? What is it in the core of the NiP team that means they are maybe a little bit slow to sort of catch up?
I mean, not to throw Exist under a bus, but it all comes down to him, right? He's the in-game caller. He's the one that should realize when things are working and when it's not working. And it hasn't really shown. So when NiP first got in PETA, for example, there was a lot of new ideas and we tried them out, and which is one of the major factors why we even won the major in Cologne, right? But then when Natu came in here as well, also like Henry was saying, very tactical approach to the game when he was playing in 3D Max. It didn't really quite show, and that just comes to show is like, did NiP not have respect for Natu? And if that's the case, why did you even bring him on as a coach? Like the whole reason is that the person that's supposed to be coaching you need to have respect for that person, because he's going to be the one that's going to win you games. Now, if they did have more time, they haven't been attending that many tournaments as of late, having more time to actually perhaps maybe put Natu to work. So it will be really interesting in this tournament to see if there has been any change in playstyle coming from NiP, because that's something that they've been extremely outdated on, and it's costing them games.
Right on. Well, a lot of interesting points here, of course, also just to look at the big picture going forward through the rest of the major. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking a lot about the game, but after this break, we will be back with the match, the winner's match of Group A between NiP and TSM. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back after this.
Yeah, right. Last man standing. P250 out, jumping and shooting. He gets one more kill. Looking for it. He's got him hunted down. Time is up. Oh my God! Get ready! You're gonna be kidding me! The last kill in 1 second left.
We are back at the NVIDIA Expert Desk here for ESL One Cologne 2015. The major that has already kicked off now with the winners matches for Group B. It sounds like it's heating up between Luminosity and Envy. We just checked the score. Seems like it is tied up for now, but we'll see how that pans out. Of course, you can catch that on our stream B if you want to go ahead and watch that right now or watch both games at the same time. The Group A winners match is about to get ready, and then we'll get through the map vetoes and jump right into game when all 10 players are set, ready to go. We already talked about the matchup. We've talked about the teams and their histories coming through. A lot on the line for both teams, of course. But, I mean, do you think that pressure is really going to play too much into their minds here?
We actually have the
Oh, all right. Well, let's just jump right to the veto then.
So NiP, Overpass, a solid choice. I mean, again, they don't play that much, and TSM is quite good at it. So, good pick. And Cobblestone for...
TSM, yeah, they don't want to ban. They've had some pretty miserable results on
interesting.
Cobblestone.
We don't really see NiP play that too much, to be fair. So that's an interesting ban for them. But
yeah, but then for TSM, as Dupree was talking about before, when they know for a fact that they match up very very well against NiP on all maps, and they knew for a fact that they would veto Overpass. This one though, I'm quite surprised about. NiP vetoing away Dust 2, which is one of the maps they usually just go towards.
Really, Train?
And then Train, yeah.
I would have thought they, all right.
Cash.
That, I think, is actually not such a bad thing for NiP. I think NiP, like, in terms of, like, if you took a look at the map pool here, I actually think that is NiP getting, like, a slightly better pick than TSM did.
Yeah, but overall, I mean, yeah, sure, NiP's Overpass veto is a given. Vetoing Dust 2 then later, and then for TSM, vetoing away Train.
That is weird.
Yeah, that is really weird.
Maybe they're playing on the fact that NiP watched the last game and they would have been aware of what the new ideas from TSM are in that department. They probably could work something out. That's the only thing I can really think of.
Perhaps. But yeah, coming into Cash here now, I do favor TSM in this on this map. Not by a large margin. NiP notorious for having a very shaky Cash from time to time. They have improved quite a bit on it, but TSM should be the better team on this map, and I'm not going to put a scoreline on it, but I do believe TSM will take this.
Henry, what about you?
I absolutely agree. The last time I casted NiP on Cash, it was against Envious, G-Finicity, I believe, and it was one of the maps they looked really lost on. It's like what we spoke about before, when they're playing against the lower tier teams like CLGs and stuff, they have the confidence and they're able to push into certain positions and they can find those frags. Going up against TSM, this is the kind of map they perhaps look lost on, and they lack the tactical execution.
All right, well, we'll find out as we jump into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been waiting for a long time. Thank you for holding with us, but it's going to be NiP versus TSM now, the winners match of Group A.
Thank you very much, guys. My name is Joe Miller. Joining me here for this game is going to be Moses. And Moses, this is the one that I think deep down everyone was expecting here as the winners game.
Absolutely.
NiP against TSM. On Cash, though, we were kind of trying to predict here what was coming out. I was hoping for a bit of Train. Didn't quite work out for me, though. But it's going to be Cash. What do you think to the map choice?
I think this is actually a really cool map. This is one of the considered the more balanced maps in the circuit at the moment. So it's there's so many different varied strategies you can do on this map. It's going to be really, really cool to see how NiP is able to switch things up. You know, how TSM is going to adjust if something's going wrong for him. But there's so many options at every place on this map.
Well, here we go. We are going to get things underway. And, of course, a ticket in the quarterfinals for the winner of this best-of-1 game on Cash. And honestly, a tougher one to predict. You know, we heard a lot of rumors that in practice the NiP were looking very, very hot coming into this tournament. We got to watch TSM, obviously, Intel Extreme Masters just a couple of weekends ago, actually. And, you know, they had a bit of a tough time there, losing out 3-0 actually in the grand final of that one against Envy. So, you know, a lot of people saying that maybe NiP in the better form right now, but we saw TSM against Renegades. They went 5-0 down and everyone was thinking, oh, this could be a little one-sided even the way this goes, but they showed some exceptional character to just absolutely nail that back. Yeah, of course, the final few rounds were, you know, looking like Renegades might get in, but overall TSM put a massive run together in that one.
Yeah, and it's just the amount of experience they have playing very well recently, or not, you know, within the last month, but over the past 3 or 4 months, they've been playing so incredibly well, and they have so much experience, able to switch things up when something's not working, able to find something that's going to work against what they're presented with, and that's something that NiP has struggled with in the past, is when something's not working, you know, they haven't really been that great team at making adjustments.
And if you actually look at, you know, statistics for the last 3 months, I think key when you mentioned that there, it's not been the best 3 months ever for Ninjas in Pajamas. You know, they're a team that somehow turns up every single time when it comes to these majors. But I think everyone was looking at NiP this time around and thinking, you know, they might be a candidate for an upset in the group stage, or at least going out a little bit earlier on in the quarterfinals, or maybe even the semi-finals. But honestly, it all comes down to a lot of experience at this stage as well. I mean, the major is where the big prize check is sat there right on the end of the line, and I think that's where a team like NiP, who have got a combined 400 million years of big stage experience between them, can really shine.
Right, and the crucial thing for me with NiP was Forrest being, you know, dominant against CLG. Like seeing him back in form, seeing him hit those nice shots, because I think the analyst has mentioned it at some point earlier in the day, is that they've just, at times they just seemed scared, like the lack of confidence in battles that you normally see them take, and they didn't show that against CLG. Now CLG gave them a good run for their money, but here on Cash, I mean, it's going to be, there's a lot of places for Get Right to lurk, a lot of ways for him to be effective. This is a great site for strong entry fraggers, and if Freiburg can have a huge performance, that's going to be exceptional for them entering bomb sites.
Yeah, I think one of the key points as well on that front that the guys were talking about was Get Right, that, you know, he's the one that almost coined the term lurker when it came to CSGO, and he's a man who, honestly, if he performs, he can put NiP on his back and, you know, just carry him through game after game after game. He didn't really have that much of a showing in their earlier game against CLG, but, you know, again, a different map coming in for him this time around, and maybe it's just a confidence thing for Get Right, because there is a lot of pressure, I think, on NiP really in particular this event, because people are looking at it and saying he's been a dodgy last 3 months, and if something doesn't work out for them here at this major, then maybe some things have to change.
Yeah, well, the big thing too is especially for a player like Get Right in that lurker role, for him to have success in that role, his other teammates have to perform. You need to have Freiburg finding a kill, finding an entry, to cause a rotation, to give Get Right space to work with. You got to have Forrest finding, you know, the duel he wants to take in the mid round to get another kill, to give Get Right more time to just outlast, to use his game sense effectively. And when those things aren't clicking together, sometimes that's when you see Get Right really struggles, because he's lurking, and I mean, he's you know, teams know he lurks. Fifth Laren mentioned it. You know, they kind of read that. They know he's going to be somewhere, so all the eyeballs are on him if the rest of his teammates aren't getting those early kills.
It's one of those age-old discussions in Counter-Strike, you know, does it actually sometimes give the opposition an advantage when they see Get Right, you know, at a B-bomb site? They can pretty much conclude from that that the rest of the team's not around there, but that could also work in NiP's favor. I mean, if they send Get Right as the lead man, yeah, they can pull TSM into thinking, okay, they're actually going to hit the other site, when in reality, it's just Get Right leading the way in.
Right, and here's the big thing for me with NiP is when they send Freiburg to go for an entry, it's very odd at times. They just kind of send them in and they're like, see what you can get. They don't always have a follow-up to trade that kill off, and this is a map you need to be good at trading frags as you enter into these bomb sites. There's going to be a lot of smokes. There's going to be a lot of Molotovs on the ground, and you can't just expect Freiburg to be able to come through a smoke and magically find a kill every time. He's got to have some backup to trade it off.
And the funny thing is, if you look down their statistics on paper, I mean, I always like to mention that statistics are really just that. You know, things can change from one game to another, but Freiburg actually having the lowest entry frag ratio recently, which is, you know, something that I think NiP are going to have to rely on a little bit more. Of course, the good news for him there is that, you know, other people in the team have certainly stepped up for that one. I mean, Alu, for example, has the best entry rate in this entire group here today. So, you know, that whole switch and change can certainly bring things through. But guys, it looks like we are going to be getting into the winners match here in Group A. As I said, it's a place in the quarterfinals up for grabs as Ninjas in Pajamas take on Team Solo Mid, and already NiP going to be looking to boost.
Yeah, this is a little bit of a variation. You've seen a lot of teams these days stack over at the B bomb site, play retake at A. That's exactly what NiP's doing, but instead of putting 3 players into B, they boost them up into the vents. But TSM, they're going to be heading over towards A. They're going to take the bait, or not the bait, but they're going to take the risk. They're going to say, you're going to have to retake this bomb site.
Well, flashes down. We saw Forrest connecting a couple of USP shots in there. Actually will get some damage done to him on his own, and that is an early bomb plant here. And there is the first kill coming in. It's Cajun B to take down Forrest, and now the disadvantage in terms of manpower for Ninjas in Pajamas. It'll be a slower push back in here, trying to keep the noise to a minimum as Get Right does manage to bring it back. Looking at grenades, there's nothing to really work with here for NiP, but they're going to swarm Dupree. They get that man. There's a smoke down here on site, and Device and Zipnik's coming in there, but Get Right still alive. life, but there is Carrigan at the back. They tried to go in straight for the defuse, but it'll be worked out again by Carrigan, and it's pistol round going to TSM.
Yeah, a good plan by NiP to retake that bomb site. A nicely placed smoke to block off an avenue of vision for TSM, but TSM bides their time in that bomb site patiently. They wait until all of NiP is in that choke point, in that confined area before striking, and they hold them off. So, nice pistol round win from TSM.
We saw those 3 kills coming in. Get Right with the double. We'll actually give them 2 scouts this round, 1 for Exist and 1 for Get Right. And there was a first chance for Exist to land a shot. Sadly for him, didn't quite connect, as the second one also missing there. And TSM not messing around here. They're going to barrel on through into this B site. We see the smokes down to cover there for CT, and that bomb is going to be planted here any second now. And at this point, NiP are locked out.
Yeah, this is something I expected. Obviously going for some spam kills just to be lucky, but they're completely retreating. No chance for a retake. 2 scouts in hands, just pistols, not even armor, and no kit whatsoever. So they're going to save this arsenal for the next round. That's not a bad call whatsoever. And yeah, TSM, that was just no question, no double guessing. Just hit B-bomb, hit the B-bomb site and just get in there.
Well, it's worked out absolutely perfectly for them. We'll be seeing NiP trying to save most of these weapons. We see Get Right there at the truck, just taking a peek through, see if he can get anything on the exit. But just looking at the minimap, it seems like it will be a safe finish to the round here from TSM. Don't want to risk losing specifically those bigger weapons in there, the 3 AKs that they had for that round. And NiP will be able to at least bring, those 2 scouts through, the 5-7 with Forrest, plus his head armor as well.
Right, and it'll be interesting to see if TSM decides to just do another very, very fast commit to a bomb site. That round, it looked like they didn't even want to mess around. They didn't want to have to deal with a scout. They didn't want to get picked off by those pistols, so they just went for it. This time, spreading out a little bit early on. Carrigan throws a smoke. They're going to boost some players up over into mid. There's a jumping scout behind the smoke that exists. He hasn't been able to find anyone, though.
Let's see. Smoke covering and Exist might have an opportunity here in a second. There he is, and he takes the head off Cajun B as well. And it was all about patience there for Exist. And the opening frag for Ninjas in Pajamas. That's one of those AKs down, which I'm sure they're going to try and reclaim here any second. Well, let's not forget, Dupree also has taken a big hit and he's down to just 23 health. Finally, they will level this one back up, and that was one of the B defenders, which you can see now NiP trying to remedy, bringing everyone over to try and defend this site. We've got Freiburg there, just a P2K in hand will give him literally nothing to work with. Forrest will be burning, and Zipniks are just picking off heads left and right. It leaves Alu and Exist, which honestly against 4, including those 2 AKs, is going to be pretty damn hard work for them. Alu will be making a peek here, but he will be rushed straight down by Carrigan, and Exist, sat on just 34 health, is going to be finished off by Device. 3-0, nice conversion here for TSM.
Yeah, almost a little bit dangerous. That's exactly what they wanted to avoid by going so fast in that first eco, was the fact that Exist gets that pick with the scout, and then they're thinned out a little bit. Then it's an opportunity for a player to come wrap around from B. Get Right went for that flank, and it didn't work out for him, but those are kind of the dangerous situations that TSM avoided in that second round by going so fast.
Now we see Ninjas in Pajamas with weapons in hand. This will be the real telltale sign for them. A couple of people, Forrest and Freiburg, not able to get the head armor this time around. No AWPs in there for now either. Obviously, Cajun B did decide to buy that in round number 4. We see 2 men on top of red box. Well, they've already smoked off main, and that's going to slow TSM down somewhat. They do have the bomb more angled over towards this A-bomb site, but it's a very standard early round start here for TSM.
Yeah, very slow pace, very spread out, not getting caught off guard, waiting for some of these smokes to expire. Kerrigan lining up to flush anyone out of vents that might be in there. Dupree and Cajun B, they're waiting for that smoke to fade over towards B, so when this comes in, if someone is in the vents, they'd be able to spray him down as he falls out the vents, but no one's there for NiP.
Freiburg going to have a peek. He actually getting flashed the instant that he turns the corner, and that might have worked out nicely for him. He will try and flash over the top to give himself a second chance, and well, he did get a couple of hits off there, but he's come out worse in that scenario, down to just 37 health. There's Get Right just hanging around in middle, trying to get anyone pushing up towards those vents, but they've got 3 men basically defending that B site pretty heavily here. They do lose Get Right, but Forrest in the back of the site will be able to level it up. There is Freiburg going aggressive, almost getting one, but they've got the better of them. 3 men down there for NiP, and it leaves just Exist, who's backed around from this A-bomb site and will be up against 4. guarantee. I mean, given they are 4 of them pretty low here, but still a 1 versus 4 in your first gun round, chances are Exist is going to back away and keep a hold of this M4.
Yeah, good read by NiP. They knew exactly what was coming. Like you said, 3 defenders there. Freiburg even pushed up into an aggressive angle where he had, a great chance to find a couple kills, but none of them could spray any of their opponents on. Forrest gets that initial kill. Alu misses one up top. And now all of a sudden you see Exist just trying to save this weapon, deal some damage if they decide to retreat to this path.
Let's see if they can find him. Debris that comes through first, and he was hopping around, knife in hand. Albeit last second flash out for Exist. Did actually flash up Zipnik there and almost killed him off with the bomb there. He pushed him back into range. Zipnik surviving it with just 2 HP, and that will ensure that the weapon will be brought through for Exist. So he managed to keep hold of that one. The rest of NiP, though, sadly for them, all sat around about 3K. So we shall be seeing, by the looks of things, a couple of Deagles be bought, but basically it's Exist who's going to have to do some work here. We see there 1 flash, 1 smoke, just to keep Anders happy, basically.
Yeah, right, and that's exactly what I was thinking. Don't want Anders getting mad at you, but this is something they're going to try and find a way to have Exist be the first contact on this defense. Now they've spotted Device boosted up, and you can see going for the reverse boost, but I think Device, he knows that he's just lurking up top waiting for it, and he does shoot, but now they know Exist is up there. How aggressive does he want to get? He doesn't want to commit to anything at all, and he falls back. Now this A execute is on. Alu spots him cross into the bomb site, but really no kind of defense you can mount. There's Exist picking one off, rotates back, and finds one.
Realistically, he needs to pick up 2 or 3 kills, and maybe even at this point, hand that weapon off. He's only got 14 HP to work with. Some big flashes towards mid. There's not a kit here, so time is not exactly on the NiP side, and 1 by 1 here, they're going to be picked off by Device, who comes around the backside of them, and that will be an easy finisher to the round for TSM, going 5-0, exactly the opposite of their start against Renegades earlier, funnily enough.
And now they've built, I mean, look at the bank that they have built up as well behind the Zipniks with 10,000, Device with 12,000. They just have so much money, so this is a crucial round. Alu does have the AWP this time. They actually, much like Dust 2, they switch it up. They go for a double op setup. Forrest and Alu. Forrest headed over towards the B bomb site. Alu at A. This is going to give them the opportunity to put a lot of pressure on mid if they choose to.
Let's see how they decide to play this one. Forrest on upper there. Smoked off fairly early though, so not really a lot to see, but he has switched around now to join his teammate there in checkers, but the smoke making sure there's no freely available shot to him just yet. And we'll play this quite defensive. There's his angle though, down towards Toxic, and will manage to pick up Cajun B, so nice little start with this double up defense. And that's going to leave TSM with a few questions. Is there just that single up in there as Alu bought the second one? Well, they're probably going to find out at some point during this round. It looks like that bomb will be pushing over towards the A site eventually. We still don't have 1 minute of this round to go, so nothing a given just yet, especially once Alu sounds off the AWP over by 8. It might make TSM think twice.
Right, and interesting, he's not holding an angle, Alu, over towards A that would peek into A main. He's watching towards mid. There's Exist playing at the forklift. Gets initially blind, but this is going to be... It looks like they're trying to sell this hit onto A. All the meanwhile, they've boosted some players over mid, so this hit is actually rotating back towards the B bomb site. 3 players at NiP are pretty committed at A. It's getting up to Freiburg and Forrest to hold this one down.
Let's see what they do. We're going to see smokes covering off from CT. Forrest going to get a shot off there. Freiburg finishes off a second for Forrest and a second for Freiburg. Teaming up brilliantly here, and Forrest will win the round for them. Well, basically a 2-man defense here on that B side. Really coming up big for Ninjas in Pajamas in a round where they really needed it. A big investment with those double AWPs, and they get their first round on the board.
Right, but crucially, TSM still has not found out that this double op setup is happening, because they haven't seen Alu. Alu hasn't fired a shot quite yet, so they don't know that it's there. Importantly as well, that opening pick by Forrest came into play so much, because once that fake went out on the A bomb site, they didn't have to rotate anyone from B. They felt very confident with the man advantage with the personnel they had at each bomb site.
We'll see the Device being boosted up here. And there is one in middle, but not showing himself there. Was Get Right, who did just hop a little bit around the corner. I think Device had just peeked away just in time. As we see that Forrest will be flashed and mollied from the start of things. Once again, he has Freiburg to give him the backup, and they've smoked off both entrances there directly to checkers into main as well. And that will mean that TSM have no opening there for now. But Device still holding middle. They've boosted Carrigan over the top as well.
there's a lot of space for TSM to work in mid because it's just Get Right playing it very, very passively. I'm not even sure he knows that Kerrigan's there. Meanwhile, Dupree takes out Freiburg over at the B bomb site, so Forrest is about to be under a lot of pressure.
There's a flash coming in. Second one will come in as well. There's the AWP being fired off by Forrest. Should have probably hit that second shot, and he'll be headshot down there by Zipnix. And that is already just Exist left alive. That's an easy spray down onto Kerrigan, who was fairly low health. But once again, Exist will be all alone, 1 versus 4. We'll try and keep this AWP and make things a little more expensive for TSM as things go on. But he's going to be pushed from main here. Device will be there. A second man will join him. Oh, I was going to say, he's just seen him there. Exist missing the shot, though, and they now know his exact position. TSM going to come swarming into this one. There's still a good few seconds until that bomb explodes. Here is Dupree's going to try a bit of a cheeky move up on top of red box, and that will be an easy kill for him. Exist was looking off towards CT, and that's bad news for NiP. Win the round, lose the one following. It's 6-1 to TSM.
Yeah, so the economy gets reset. They might try and force buy here. They did have all 5 members stay alive on that round they won, so it's not as crushing a blow, but you can see the buy is very, very weak. Freiburg has the kit, but you see 2 Famas out, even the Mag 7 on Alu. The real dangerous part about that round is Kerrigan was, now that TSM knows that defense in mid was so incredibly weak with just Get Right there, Kerrigan knows he's got space to work with, and he was effective that round, getting 2 kills. All the pressure was being put onto the B bomb site. Meanwhile, TSM players just win duels on the other side of the map and just crush NiP.
There's Zipnix. Wow.
Okay.
As you do, through the door, onto the head of Exist, who's probably just like, well, what should I do from this point? Different position maybe next round. It's Freiburg. I don't think he quite caught sight of Cajun B there. He was still just behind the wall, but TSM starting off once again. 1 man to the gut. There's a spot onto Forrest. They're both flashed in there. And Cajun B playing with absolute confidence over towards this B-bomb site. There's already a smoke down, so he doesn't need to use his second there. He's out close by the door. Zipnix will get the better of him as well, and it's now Get Right here on this A-bomb site. You can see him keeping turned to pre-turn those flashes, and now he's going to push in there. Smoke, I think he was spotted just on the edge of it, but they may have just lost tabs with him here. They will get a couple of shots off onto him, but Get Right, I think, himself a little bit lost there inside of the smoke. And now Device, only 7 HP remaining here. Up close and personal. Can he land the shot? No, he'll be pushed down, and it's a 1 versus 2. We've seen Freiburg going big in their first game of the day. Can he do it here as well against TSM? 1 man at main, 1 man just behind him. He's going to have to switch out to the pistol, and Zipnix will be able to convert that one into victory. Bit of a ropey finish to the round there for TSM. Nice little try from the Ninjas, but that is going to mean TSM going 7-1 up, and it also means that NiP are going to have to be on the eco.
Yes, now that's crushing. Down 7-1 on the save round. Freiburg almost able to pull that out. He actually did some very good work at trying to find that one-on-one, finding it in A main eventually, baiting that player to swing out wide. But TSM's so good in those situations, holding onto a bomb site. Such smart plays from their individuals. Now heading over towards B, very quick, very aggressively once again. The Mac 10 of Kerrigan doing some damage, and there's the nade. Cleans him up, 1 player over at headshot. That's Forrest. He wins that duel, but what else can he do from here?
Likely not a lot, I think. Obviously, not exactly the strongest of rounds from NiP equipment-wise, so not that we're expecting much more from this one. Just Alu and Exist actually left alive from this, and they will look to pick up a couple of cheeky weapons on the way out, but I don't think TSM all that desperate to be chasing them down at this stage of things. That bomb, of course, will be exploding. This will be a TSM round, putting them up to 8-1. From the T side of Cash. Certainly a lovely little start for them.
Yeah, they're going to be happy with it. The thing is, NiP's got to do something to change, really the tone, the pace that they're working with. Nice shot from Exist there at the end, but I mean, they need to get aggressive somewhere. They need to grab an early lead. That round they won, Forrest finds the opening pick with the AWP. They need to have more of that, and it's not going to come. If it's not going to come from an AWP because of the money situation, where's the aggression going to come from out of NiP to gain some kind of advantage, to gain the intel and fall back and use that to their advantage?
That's a very good question, and the fact is that, as you said, there is not enough cash for 1, never mind the 2 AWPs that they needed to win that single round that they have to their name so far. If you look at the board there, Alu sat 0-0-6. He's almost a finished James Bond at this point, which has not a good thing overall. There is Get Right, though, finally getting the kill, and was a little bit different this time around with the boost in middle to give him sight over the top of the smoke. So NiP will open up the fragging, but they've basically lost control of the entire mid-area device. He's going to sneak all the way on through, which means that Get Right's position is all but worthless at that point.
Yeah, I was wondering where the aggression was going to come from NiP to gain that advantage. They do a boost over that smoke, and then they just abandon middle completely. So Device has that advanced position. When is that going to come into play? He's going to be patient. He's going to try and outlurk Get Right, try and open something up for his team, but Freiburg position underneath the vents. And TSM just waiting. They have a minute on the clock, and despite being a man down with Device in this spot, they can let him try and find something. They can let him be patient because he has such good control.
There's the push through from dupreeh, and Freiburg started the spray off, and dupreeh basically one-taps him to get the kill. There is Forrest, doubles up for him as he gets one inside the checkers. Get Right, and Alu will actually combine here to finish off the round. And well, TSM thought they got the better position in there as they got that middle area after Get Right backed away, and they pushed through vents as well, but they felt like dominoes.
Yeah, well, Forrest bails him out of that round with those 2 kills, quick kills as well. He's able to transfer over to a second player, but that first kill onto Freiburg is what I thought was going to sell it with Device. That's when the rotation is forced out of NiP. That's when Device in that position can hear them rotating over towards B and pounce, but with Forrest getting those 2 kills, he was forced into a play he didn't want to make.
Looks like a slower start here again for TSM, and honestly, their entire early round strategy has not really changed up this entire time. And a couple looking over towards A, a couple having a peek in towards B main and over towards checkers as well, and it's been working out for them. Already 8-2 up here. I think they've decided to leave middle a little bit more alone this time. Only Device will be looking from boost into that one, but he's only got 1 health there.
A lot of damage has been dealt by NiP, softening up a couple players. dupreeh down to 52 as well. So despite the slow start that TSM's been doing this whole half, I mean, why switch what's been working for you? You're up 8-2, so there's NiP finding a way to deal damage anyway.
And again, running down to less than 1 minute in this round. They've been unable to find any kind of opening across the map, and it looks like will now move over towards his A side. The early molly's coming in there. There's a flash into main for Exist. He got the 1 kill. They know the bomb's in there now as well, but there's a spray again through the doors for Xyp9x. 2 men very low here for TSM. That's Carrigan down as well. Forrest only got 20 health of his own, but here comes Get Right around the side. It's now a 2 versus 2, and only 17 seconds. That bomb needs to get planted here quickly for TSM, especially as Get Right going to have a position up high as he hops over onto red box. Xyp9x is trying to plant. Get Right will kill him off. They still have 1 tucked away, but Get Right will get it. It came to the 1 versus 1 there right at the very end. Well, the time just too far gone then for TSM.
Yeah, beautiful plays. Exist pushing into A main, getting the intel, and also when the rotations come in, Forrest pushes right through that smoke, finds a kill, delays that take a little bit longer. So as that clock runs down, the TSM options were just slowly dwindling, and Get Right with the big play, jumping up onto the box. So 3 rounds for them, and they've finally gotten the economy of TSM to the point where they can break it and force them onto some ecos if they win this round.
Yeah, only a Tech9 here for occasion. But a standard early start coming out nonetheless. This time a bit more aggression from Alu. He misses the shot though. There is a follow-up. Freiburg will lose out, and that was Cajun. We were talking about that Tech9, and he's the one that ends up coming up big to open up the round. Funny how that works sometimes. Tech9 going in there thinking, okay, I'm the soft man here. I can just go in there and see what I can find.
Risk.
End up coming out with a kill against 2 men. And NiP down to just 4. Now is Alu missing the shot over towards boost. You see there, Forrest boosted on top of Exist head, so they've got vision of main. That was oh wow, that was a free shot for Alu. He'd actually zoomed in a little touch early up towards the boost, and he was just coming straight through that main entry. Here we go though, push coming in on towards A. It will be a bit of an exchange there, but it will be TSM coming out on top of it. Bomb will get planted here shortly, and there was Get Right trying to come over from B, but they were quicker to the mark there. dupreeh had already pushed all the way through to Car.
Yeah, it's stemming down too, NiP. no real mid presence. It's been Get Right playing in that spot, and then Alu rotates over there with the op that round from the same exact spot, so they really don't have any kind of aggression. This is a map when you control mid as CTs, you can rotate places so fast, you can flank quickly so incredibly quick, or so fast, but TSM not, I mean, NiP not taking it when it's given to him, and TSM's just exploiting that fact now.
What do you think to that whole almost abandon? Funny as I asked that question, NiP are going to send men over towards mid on the eco, but what do you think to that whole idea of just give middle up and defend it from the almost deepest point?
I mean, it's Device, what a shot, no scope, and he's going to clean some things up with that Tech 9, so there goes Exist and Alu. Just Forrest finds a kill, but I mean, it can work. It can be effective if you play it right, but when you play it every single round, now that TSM has caught onto that fact.
It's 3 versus 2 here as well. This anti-eco not really going as planned for TSM. But we'll see. Freiburg still only got his P250. There is the AK in the hands of, well, was Forrest and also was Freiburg. That one ended a lot faster than expected, but it's double figures for TSM. Just a couple rounds to go. We will see NiP here picking up more weapons, but again, not exactly a full loadout for them.
They have had economic issues this entire half so far. They have not been able to stabilize that economy between getting the reset earlier on. That double scout buy early on really hurt them in the 4th round as well. So not able to buy the utility that they want or even the weapons they want. They have another Mag 7, another FAMAS on Alu. So really struggling to put a good arsenal together.
They need to do something a little bit cheeky here. There was Get Right spotting Device, but not doing masses of damage to him. And Device will simply sit back here, wait for any possible boost. Or in fact, just molly that position out. And that means that Get Right might have to change his position somewhat. He's burning away there on the edge. I think miscalculated his position in there. He couldn't push out towards the main because, well, there was a man in there. He'd heard him running anyway, so Rock in a hard place, and he's going to be burnt down. 2 mollies used there for the single kill onto Get Right. They'll be happy with that one. It was, of course, just the Mag 7. As Cajun does get spotted out there by Freiburg, but he has been playing this position pretty much every early round, causing 2 men to be pulled away. There we see Exist going to be boosted up. Will that be a position to stop the push here from TSM? He's completely blind, but they've not checked it. They've not checked his position, and he gets 2 before finally being dealt with there by Zipnix. We've got Forrest here on top of the box, but it's 2 versus 3, and the bomb will be planted by Zipnix. And that makes this one all the more difficult. Smoke is down, but Forrest still has line of sight to Zipnix if he decided to push. He didn't, and now it becomes a lot more difficult. A deep defense here from TSM. Cajun B will spray down 1. Freiburg, the last man remaining for NiP, and Carrigan was off in the corner to finish off that one. And again, TSM coming in. I thought it was going to go a lot worse when we saw Exist up on that box. He got 2, but still not enough for NiP.
Right, and that's the danger at TSM when they get into these bombs. They said it a couple times. They're so good. Forrest and Freiburg setting up to try and catch in that 2-on-3, try and catch someone peeking, trying to catch someone overextending, and TSM just doesn't give it up. They had those 3 players set up perfectly to cover each other. 1 player in A main watching for that jump on top of the boxes. So if you're NiP, the fact that they get into these bomb sites is just so scary from there. And now, look at this. The first time they're going to change the pace. They're going to hit A very quickly.
Smokes are already in. There is one stopping them from main, but I don't think they care too much about that one. They're going to go straight out onto the site. Alu will get Carrigan, but he's quickly dealt with, and they can get the bomb straight down in position with Cajun B. Freiburg will come around the back, though, so they at least have weapons and actually have the health advantage at this point as well. The question is, can they find the men and land the shots? Forrest does drop down quickly from up high and finds the pre there in the corner. As we're down now to a 2-on-2. Molly coming in. There's the peek around from Exist. Forrest will burn down Cajun B. And we're into a 1 versus 1 here in the final round of this first half. There's a peek from Zipnix, and he'll get the better of Forrest. And it's 12-3 at the half-time. Zipnix there, top of the scoreboard. Also, I have to point out at this stage, Alu having a horrible time of things, really. Only hit 2 kills there from the first 15 rounds.
Yeah, and you see that from time to time. That's just that's how bad their money has been this whole half. TSM's had complete control of it. Alu being the opper, he's only been able to afford it 2 or 3 rounds. I mean, they've just been crushed in terms of their money. So especially towards the end, when you're so far down in rounds, you can't really afford to save anymore. You just have to get rounds on the board. And unfortunately, Alu not able to even grab his weapon that often. So tough spot for NiP to be in here. TSM just laying it on thick. And it comes down just, once again, I'm just going to just beat it into the ground. It's that mid control. TSM always able to walk out and find a positional advantage due to the lack of a defense there.
I wonder, and I think we will, from what we've seen of TSM in the past, have a solid mid defense from them. I don't think they're going to play anywhere near as passive as what we've just seen from NiP. And this minute and a half team switch that they have basically at half time to talk a little bit about things, I think NiP will be wishing it was more like 15, honestly, to really turn this one around, because 3 rounds only on the board from this CT side. And we talked earlier on about Get Right. Honestly, yeah, it didn't have much of a chance playing that very deep mid-roll. There's not much really to be done in his scenario. He's got 7 kills from that first half, but it was basically always on a retake that he was getting those kills.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly, you're exactly right. And I mean, TSM just, that spread out default they did throughout that whole half, found them picks, it found them entries. That one round they used 2 Molotovs just to get right, and they take that 5-on-4 advantage. One of the better teams at playing with the man advantage. They just do the stranglehold. When they get those kills, they have a minute left in the round and a 5-on-4. They're going to exploit something. It's going to happen. And NiP didn't show any kind of desire to try and get aggressive in a situation in the mid round, to find some information or to get some kills and try and equalize.
There wasn't really much of a change at all from NiP. Falling behind, you expect that, all right, we have to do something a little bit different here. That's the only way that we may be able to get back in this game. And in the end, there was literally no real change. The boost from Get Right in mid was about as fancy of a change we saw there from NiP on CT. But we are into the second half here. 12-3, of course, the lead for TSM, moving on to CT side. And it's looking like it will be a big A push here for the Ninjas in Pajamas. Smoke's coming through. Flashes will be joining there as well. Exist actually getting blinded, but they will get the push through. There is Device getting one. Can he find 2? Alu is coming through in there. It is Get Right that joins in, but Zipnik's on the backside as well, doing well. There's a man at Forklift who will rip them even further down. And now just Freiburg and Get Right. There is Get Right down. Freiburg will follow, and TSM pick up the pistol and go 13-3, and quite possibly sewing the game up right there.
Yeah, very, very possibly. Device with that positioning he has, he only gets 1 kill, but they're forced to deal with them. They devote 2 more players after that initial kill to clean him out of that spot, and it allows rotations to come in for TSM. NiP couldn't even get into the bomb site to get the bomb plant to get that $800. So now they're forced. They have no head armor on 3 players. They have the Tech 9s, the P250s, and a full buy. So this is them saying that we need to win a round right now.
And we see already Carrigan pushed up further than I think Get Right was the entire of that first half. Trying to hold that mid, so exactly as we probably expected from this one. It will be, as you can see there from the top-down view, a push again onto this A-bomb site for NiP, but honestly, they're going to get ripped to shreds from this one. Zipniks and Carrigan going to just combine here for the first couple of kills. Device will now chime in as well. Should be an easy finisher there with the UMP. Carrigan is there as well, and an easy conversion, really. Did manage to get the 1 kill onto Zipniks, but again, no bomb plant for Ninjas in Pajamas, and they're all sat around about 2k, and this is surely going to be game point for TSM unless NiP do something incredibly strong.
Yeah, I'm actually surprised that they're not force buying here. Why not, if you're going to save this round, why not save last round and bring some Galils or some AK-47s into the party on the 3rd round here? But either way, they're going to let TSM have a great advantage to get up towards match point already.
And commotion going on, and just looking over here towards Envy. I think they've just won their game over against Luminosity, but either way, the push through middle from NiP is going to be absolutely destroyed as it comes through. The nade from Device finishes off, and that is game point, quarter-final point here, really, for TSM, which will, of course, put them into the matches in the Lanxess Arena on Saturday. Also give them, legend status moving forward as well, which is
next major.
Massive, massive thing for these teams as well. NiP need 12 rounds in a row to push us through then into an overtime. Of course, buying up everything they can here. There'll be no AWPs, AKs across the board for them. And this is where it's going to be interesting to see mid-control. It's 2 men there. Device is going to be up on top of the box, and well, Carrigan watching it with his AWP as well, so already a much heavier focus on that area of the map from TSM.
Yeah, now even shifting a little bit, giving it up, and now Carrigan rotating over towards A with that op, and they've left Dupree over in B. He's got the other AWP And that's going to allow this defense to be very mobile in mid, and Xyp9x gets a little bit of intel. Now falls back and he switches spots with Kerrigan. Beautifully done, because Forrest was expecting a Colt. He was expecting the M4, not the AWP, and Kerrigan cleans one up. Now they can fall back and be very confident. A 5-on-4. 4 members over towards A, though, and now they're rotating back.
Yeah, Kerrigan pushing back to cover outside. He actually just clipped Get right there, right through the smoke, down to 15 or 16 if my eyes would work. And not looking good here for NiP to hold on to this game. Device, gonna hear some footsteps there by A. Will pop flash off, and again, you do see a push through. Finally from middle, it'll be Alu that gets that one, but Device, Xyp9x, both combining. Alu's only got 12 HP, he's burning, and he's eventually finished off there by Device. And that was, well, quite frankly, a simple win from TSM. 16 rounds to 3. NiP on the CT side, never really finding their feet, never able to get a stable economy going. And they are gonna be, well, having to fight for their lives.
Yeah, and that was just clinical from TSM, and that's kind of the thing. We mentioned that TSM very good at adapting, NiP not so much, and because NiP never adapted in that first half, TSM was able. They ran that default 14 rounds in a row. They never had to switch up what they were doing, and just picked NiP apart all across the board in every facet of the game.
Also means, of course, now that CLG will be the team that gets reshuffled. Because they already played Ninjas in Pajamas in the first match of the winners bracket here in Group A. So that's the first thing that we know in terms of reshuffles. We'll see how that one all works out. I still think it could go well for you. You could be happy with that, or you could be really sad, depending on if we see any upsets going on further down the line.
Yeah, we'll find out who's going to be happy or not. Well, the thing you know is TSM's very happy with that performance after the shaky month or couple weeks that they've had recently. To come out with this big of a win against NiP, that's got to get them feeling good. Now they can just wait, they can hang out, they can watch until Saturday.
Well, there is also that one point that we heard earlier on in the day over on the expert desk, that NiP never been particularly renowned for such great starts, such great group stages, really, where they've, you know, often scraped through from that one and then come out and gone absolutely incredible through the bracket stages. But this is certainly a loss that'll be, I think, a little bit hard to digest for NiP. See that Natu just having a bit of a word. Get right. Sat in silence, so, you know,
pensive.
He's definitely an emotional player, not a player that, well, which player does like to lose, but I think Get Right in particular is a player that takes those losses fairly heavily, especially when, honestly, this was a whitewash game. They were never really in this match.
No, not even. They weren't even close to being in the match. So, I mean, just a great display out of TSM, and that was. Yeah, just the TSM was just so clinical about it. You know, they did that same strategy. They got all the picks they wanted. When they didn't get the picks, they got the entries. And everything was just perfect from them. NiP never made them feel any pressure, never made them sweat whatsoever.
Well, fantastic victory there. 16-3 in the end, going over to TSM in their win over Ninjas in Pajamas. We're going to head, though, to the NVIDIA expert desk to break it down.
Thank you, Joe. We are here with Dupree again, as we get a beautiful face on.
Hello.
But Dupree, of course, is going to be the spotlight, not you, from Flaren here on the desk, as he wins the winners match. And TSM will be moving on to the bracket stage. They're in the playoffs now. You guys are set. You guys don't have to worry about anything until Saturday. It's got to be a good feeling to have that group stages behind you now.
Yeah, definitely. It was great, especially to win it like this, like beating NiP. Like, was it? Yeah, say like I can't remember the score, like 16-3 or 5.
Yeah, 16-3. Yeah,
I can't remember. So yeah, it was great. We played with a lot of confidence, and everything just worked. We got the picks we wanted. People won their aim duels, and from there we just outplayed them with the rotations. It was pretty simple.
Yeah, Anders, how did you view that game between these two teams?
I thought NiP would at some point make a comeback. I've seen you guys play really well on the terrorist side of this map before. Like, I've seen you have 10-5 scorelines playing the terrorist side and then completely fail on the CT side. So I was kind of in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, if they get 10 rounds, that should normally be enough. But because it's you guys, I felt maybe it wasn't. So I was sort of waiting for it. I was thinking, right, maybe if they lose the pistol in the second half, there's like a comeback opportunity. But obviously never happened. And NiP showed a lot of confidence in their first match, but it feels like they can still be broken, and you guys obviously did that. So yeah, I was impressed, but I also thought that that NiP had some opportunities to do a little bit more.
Yeah, Flaren, what about you? I mean, were you pleasantly surprised by TSM's performance here, or? I mean,
yeah, I mean, for sure, they're looking very strong, and I already called it when we were doing the vetoes, and I saw Cash that TSM would win. I had him obviously favored to win Group A, but not in this fashion. I was hoping that NiP would put up more of a fight. There's really nothing to say. I mean, you can go take a shower. You must be super sweaty after that. That dirt of a game. It's like I don't know. Yeah, it was so dirty. That game was so dirty that like I think I need a shower after watching that. But yeah, I have nothing to say. Really.
Are you setting yourself up to shower with Dupree?
I mean,
We do it.
we can go. I'm
You
fine with
literally
that.
just segued from you should take a shower, I need a shower.
I invited myself, Anders.
Great job.
Yeah,
Great job.
I'm in room 240 at the hotel.
I'll be there.
All right. Well, I'm glad we settled that here. No, what about you, Henry? Are you going to be part of that shower? Or do you have something else?
I
to say
don't want to
about
be
this
anywhere
game?
near that shower, to be honest.
Well, it's actually your room that I mentioned.
That's actually it. I was going to say, what are you doing in there? That's really weird. So for me, the main thing for NiP there was the economy management. They went into they after losing the pistol. I really think they needed to wait out and get the orb set up. The first round they actually won in the game was when they had the dual orbs, and that's when they looked their strongest. I'd have preferred them going in, starting off on the gun rounds with that advantage. So when you buy double scouts on the second round, you really do stitch yourself up in the sense that you have to be very low on utility going into the first gun round, and you don't have the same diffuse kits, you don't have the rifles you necessarily want. And for me, they really wanted to factor that in and give themselves a fighting chance in the first gun round. So it just fell apart from there. It was too far gone by the rounds they did find, and yeah, unfortunately, that was the NiP we've seen a couple of times in the last few tournaments.
I mean, I don't want to rub anything in here, especially because that last camera shot we got to get right kind of looked like, you know, that point in The Lion King when Simba's father has just died, and you know, it was very painful. Oh. But Get Right actually did fail a very crucial smoke that they tried to pull in the pistol round that was supposed to go in through the squeak door on A-bomb site to help the team out.
Yeah.
Ultimately, I don't actually think that was caused the round to fail completely, because there were also some really good headshots from TSM's side. But
it was called. Like we realized, siblings realized
saw
that. He realized the smoke failed, and they got us the opportunity to get some angles set. So yeah.
Yeah, so just a tiny feature. I mean, that round was obviously huge for NiP. That could have been at least the beginning of some sort of comeback. Yeah. So, yeah.
No. Well, at the end of the day, I mean, as you guys said, it was pretty straightforward. You guys kind of steamrolling through that one, and now you guys are going on as the first seed of Group A. So once again, congratulations to Priya, and of course to your team, TSM, moving on as the first seed of Group A. For all of you guys at home, if you're missing any of the matches this week, you can go over to theScore eSports, download the app on your smartphone at the iOS App Store or the Google Play Store, and you'll be able to check out what they have to say. They'll have the reports, they'll have the match histories, and all of that here for ESL One Cologne. You can also check out their staff picks from theScore eSports right now if you want to see what their predictions are moving forward. For now, we're going to take a quick break. When we return, we move on with the group stages at Group C.